Texture, won't settle for less. Betcha that you won't forget. Text us, don't call our phone. Help us. We'll make it back home.
Hey there, fam, and thanks for joining us today on Conversations with G. My name is G, and we're joined today by Jay. That's right, Jay, the famous Jay who kicked off the first episode when we were talking about relationships. Thank you so much, Jay, for coming on back with me.
Oh, yeah, not a problem, man. Anytime.
Yes. So I know the big day passed, you got married. We talked about that last year, November. I want to say it was November. So checking in just very quickly on you and how are things going with you and your spouse now, your wife now, I can say that. How's married life treating you?
Great. It feels exactly the same.
Feels exactly the same, you say.
Well, if you're doing the right thing in the first place, it should feel no different.
Good point. See how you do? You always be dropping some good stuff on me, right? That reminds me. That reminds me of this little article I read where they were talking about husband 1.0 versus boyfriend 5.0 and the difference, right?
Okay.
But you just said something real good that if you were doing things right the first time around, then it wouldn't feel any different when you make that switch from boyfriend to fiance to husband.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, I like that. You always dropping something on me. All right.
I be trying. I be trying to stay out the way too.
Trying to stay out the way, huh?
I like that. What's that? You said husband 0.1 and boyfriend 5.0. What's that?
Yeah. So husband 1.0 versus husband 1.0 versus boyfriend 5.0. So it's like a little joke. You had this lady who just recently got married. They've been married for a while, and she writes the tech support up. And she in the email, the tech support, she labels it, I have been having some issues with husband 1.0. We just upgraded from boyfriend 5.0, and all these things started crashing. The flowers, the jewelry, all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. She's just going on and on and on, right? 1.0, 2.0, 3. Whatever, da, 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 da.
Yeah.
So tech support responds back and tells her that husband 1.0, they said boyfriend 5.0 is actually entertainment package.
Hey.
And husband 1.0 is going to take you there. Right. And of course, there were some other things in there. And it just reminded me of that when you said that. So I'm like, yeah, but husband 1.0 versus boyfriend 5.0. The fact that, it's the entertainment package. And you had mentioned that we talked about that before. Like, of course, we trying to put out all the stops when you first meet each other, trying to make sure, everything's good. And then want to make sure you carry that into the marriage. But, I was talking to my husband before and we were talking about how there are times like you got to keep it up. So don't start nothing that you can't maintain, right? So if you acting as if like you can sit there and you have the money to just hit all these expensive restaurants all the time, and of course your spouse, once you're married, going to continue to believe that we're going to continue to hit these expensive, right? We ain't going to head up and no Taco Bell and Mickey D's and like that, right? We're not going to be sitting at those, right? We're not going to be sitting at that. We're going to be sitting there at the sit down restaurant with a maitre d and all that other stuff, the host and all that. That's what we're going to do. So that's what that kind of reminded me about. So yeah.
She don't know after that date you going home eating ramen noodles with boiled eggs.
Like, don't knock it on the noodle with boiled eggs.
That joke be hitting now.
Yes, it does, man. In a quick fix, man. I'm like, hold up, let me get a packet of that. Boil it up, cut the egg up in. Good to go. Throw some spices, some hot sauce, your own little spices. You don't want to go with that little packet. That little packet good. No, you got to put your own spices in there. But yeah.
Well, that's an actual great segue. What do you believe is the miscommunication between the expensive dating and everything in the beginning to leading on? I mean, are the women like, do they get angry? Are they understanding? Or do you think that he's just pulling wool over their ass?
Well, I guess it all depends on the individual, right? So if you have someone who's dating, whether you're male or female, I'm gonna speak on a woman's behalf, right? So say I'm dating, I'm just out here dating, and you come at me as if you all just, you just stepping out, looking like you just $5 million, you driving a maxed out car, you pulling out this water cash or the credit card or whatever, and you taking me here and there, and what you're presenting to me is that this is how it is. Then yeah, my expectation is when we get together, and should we continue on or we get together as husband and wife, then I expect it to be the same. But if you're not, especially for not having a conversation about, about these things. Oh, well, I just hit the lottery. Or, I just got a raise, or, whatever. Yeah. Something's going good for me or whatever. And then you having a conversation, whether it be over a meal or, as y'all are looking in each other's eyes, you having those moments or whatever.
With the candlelight flickering off the pupil.
Right, exactly. You having those conversations and y'all are keeping it 100 with each other and not, and being real, then there could be some understanding. But if you're coming at me and you're just showing me all this stuff, then yeah, my expectation gonna be when we get together, that's how it's gonna be. I'm not gonna want to hear, oh, well, that was only because this was going on or what have you.
Right.
No, I expect you to keep it going, but if you come at me real and show me the reality of it, because we all know that there are times when one is up and one is down. It happens. It happens in life to each and every one of us, especially in the marriages, right? So you especially have like a 2-income household where both your wife and both husband and wife are working, and there could be a situation. Prime example for me, when I had to get down, I was down for a little bit with my health and everything, and I was out of work for about 5 months. My husband had to step up, and so the expectation was, you got to sit there and make those kind of adjustments for that time frame, right? And then of course, as things get better, then you're back to being able to do these little things, these extra things that you used to do before you hit that hard time. But if you're someone who's just always acting as if everything's cool, then you're not telling me one thing or another, then my understanding is that's the way it's going to be even further down the road when we do get married.
Right.
Okay. I mean, what about you on the other side? I mean, because it's on the flip side also with men, maybe not necessarily with money, but ooh, here's something. What about when you have your wife, and when y'all were dating, it's like, boom, she just bam. She looking, boom, body side, everything cool.
What you do, what you do.
And then time goes on. We age a little bit. A little happens, little health situations happen or whatever, especially you popping out babies. Good God, you know what I'm saying? That weight come on, the hormones get to flipping it off and on or whatever. Yeah. Is that something that you expect? Like if you see that your woman is coming out here and she's looking like a dime piece, you don't, do you expect it to be that the entire course of the marriage, or do you realize that or understand that okay, sometimes she'll be a nickel or a penny or whatever,
Hey, look,
it's not gonna be a dime.
Sometimes it's still a dime. It's just 10 pennies. They got to get broken up. You hear me?
Right. Yeah, but from a man's perspective, I mean, I'm gonna ask you the same question.
Okay. Me personally, I made sure that I fell in love with her fear of God and character. That's what I found attractive.
Yeah.
And that's something that's etched into her soul. So she's always gonna be that to me.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, I understand we in 2024. If you're not used to your woman, waking up, one eyelash fell off, she got the wig cap, got the runs in it, and she still ain't beautiful to you, then you picked the wrong one. I'm trying to be realistic here. You know what I'm saying?
You didn't say one eyelash off.
I'm telling you, one stuck to the pillow, she got the runs in the stocking cap, you know what I'm saying? She still got to be as gorgeous as she was on your wedding day to you.
Right.
Like, the point is, to me personally, in marriage, our DNA has to mesh. You know what I mean? Like, not just simple, cliche things like finish each other's sentences, but, to have a full conversation without saying a word. Right. Have you ever been somewhere with your husband and neither one of y'all wanted to be there, and it was just, and then all of a sudden, y'all leaving? Like,
Right.
you got to be on
Full
the same playing field. I'm telling you.
Right.
You got to beat it. And yeah, man. I think that's when she's at her most beautiful, because same thing with me. I ain't gonna look like I jumped out of the barber chair every time. You know, I'm gonna be. She gonna see me in the house. You know what I'm saying? Belt unbuckled, barbecue sauce on my shirt. You know what I'm saying? I got a little bit of cold in this eye. Hey, honey, you got a booger? Oh yeah. You know, you still got to think me fine, right?
Right, right.
That door swing both ways.
I like what I think the main thing, my main takeaway from what you said there was from the beginning when you said attractive. What attracted you, you know?
Yeah.
And what attracted you for you was her connection, her fear, or her love of God. And I think that's what it really boils down to, right? So, you know, the attracted, you know, if that's what you're attracted to, then there could be some things that kind of go along with that, right? You know, that's the conversation there. Like if you're attracted to, you know, how oftentimes we see a movie or a show and you have this millionaire guy, you know, husband or whatever, and he's got a wife. Yeah, she married him for the money, whatever. That's what attracts him. But you know, he's out there just running the streets, doing X, Y, and Z, and she accepts it because she knew, you know, that what she was attracted to was the money, and things kind of come with that, right?
Yeah.
You know, sometimes, you know, when you see that you have, whether it's a male or a female, and they have the money and the power and, you know, the fame and everything like that or whatever, and they leave the home, then more often than not, there's going to be somebody somewhere always themselves that, you know, your wife or your husband. And then they may just go dibble dabble do, you know, do their little thing, you know.
Yeah.
Do their little thing. I'm just saying, you know.
Right.
But the spouse at home, whether it's a female or a male, accepts it because they kind of signed up for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I also think about that in the sense of, like, you know who you married. When you have people who marry, like, let's just say a cop, a law enforcement. You know, and then sometimes you see in the movies and shows, you got the wife that's all upset, and, you know, I need you to stop being a cop or retire and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I can't, you know, I want to continue because that he loves the job and everything like that. But it's like, look, lady, you knew who he was when you married him. You knew he was a cop. You know, and that's a scary job. Like, you know, that any one of us, no matter what job we have, you sit there and have your last breath at any given time, you know.
Yeah.
But when you have a profession where you're going into danger to kind of like kind of get everything squashed away, you may end up not coming home and leaving your spouse as a widow, you know, whether it's a male or a female or what have you, but you knew what you kind of married, you know. So I think about it in that sense. So again, what you're attracted to, what attracts you to that person, and then also knowing what you have before you say I do. And you let the person sit up there pulling the wool over somebody's eyes, you faking the phone, and you up in there, you say I do. And then 2 days later, oh my God, I didn't know it was like this. You know, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't know any of this stuff before y'all, you know, how much time did y'all sit there and get to know each other? Where was the lead time into that? You know, sometimes you hear people say, oh, it was love at first sight and we got to get married. We have to be 2 weeks, 6 weeks later. What? How much time have y'all really got to, you know, get to know each other? You ain't seen each other's boogers. You know what I'm saying? You ain't heard whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing? You know, you may not even know the people around them. You don't know the family members.
Hello.
You know, I know you had mentioned that y'all were dating and going into the lead time before you even said I do was like 5 years, you know.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
And I know for me and my husband, it was about 2 years, a little over 2 years, you know, before we were able to sit there and say, okay, felt comfortable enough to go down the aisle and say I do. You know, so I feel like it's very important that you do get to know that person, you know, because you need to know what you're walking into, you know. You know, they need to. Yeah. I like that. Attractiveness, what you're attracted to. Good.
Well, you raised some very valid points that got me to thinking when you were bringing up, you know, like the housewives in 2024 and the house husbands, you know, both. The thing is that if you fell in love, pursue what you love.
Amen to that.
From the beginning.
Right.
If you love the money, then put yourself into a situation where you learn and create your own revenue so you can be with your money. If you love being with random people,
mm-hmm.
the oldest profession in the world is that.
Right. Exactly.
Just pursue what you want, because when you bring somebody else into it, you bring feelings into it. And when feelings get hurt, people become very unpredictable and dangerous.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. We talked about that before. About that emotional tie, that emotional bond. Like,
Yeah.
you know, that emotional, you mess with someone's emotions. Mess with them. Woo, you gonna open up a can that you don't want to. That's the boss right there. Like, it's easy to sit there and heal, quote unquote, from like a scar, a physical scar. Like, say you cut yourself or whatever.
Yeah.
You see the scar start to go, you know, scar up, the cut start to scar up, scab and heal or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It may take a couple of weeks, a month, or what have you. But that emotional scar, what? That takes forever.
It'll be there for life.
Sometimes people don't even heal from that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I get it. You definitely don't want to play with anybody's feelings, anybody's emotions. Be honest, be true, getting up in there, or anything like that. So, yeah. And that leads me into, I wanted to sit there. So a topic that I wanted to broach. Dun, 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 so we'll see if we can get into it in this one.
Okay.
But the topic I wanted to broach was, I know this is going to sound a little too big, convoluted, right? Conforming. All right. So the title is Conforming to Societal Norms. Basically what that means is, you know, we got society. We know what was once taboo is now okay, you know, and things like that, you know, what have you. Society changes, you know, society changes time after time, right? And then, but how do you sit there and continue on in society with things changing constantly? One thing that was taboo is now not taboo, but still being true to your core beliefs without actually trying to fit in, without totally jumping all the way
in? Great question, by the way. Something that my father told me always growing up. If you concentrating on what you need to do, you ain't got time to be in nobody else's business.
True that.
To me personally, people can do whatever they want. That's over there. I know you have a show, so I'm going to keep certain things to myself, but people business is their business.
True.
And that door should swing both ways. My business should be my business.
That's true.
People shouldn't be forced to be in other people's business. I guess that's the best way I could put it.
Yeah.
I want everybody to be happy in what they love. Once again, pursue what you love.
Right.
And I will do the same.
Yeah. I like the way that you said that.
Yeah, I can't get tangled up in somebody else's view of life. Life is perception.
Thank you. Someone else who thinks the same way that I do. Yeah.
Because what I think is a good day to somebody, it's a immaculate day. To someone else, it's a horrible day. I mean, it's our perspective in each individual. How about you?
That is exactly what I was talking about the other day with my husband. We were having a conversation, and you know, I brought up this topic that I wanted to kind of broach, right? And thank you for saying that, you know, you at the show and you want to keep, you know, your comments on the level and things like that. Yeah. I'm gonna push a little bit. I'm gonna push a little bit. Right. Okay.
I got your back.
Right. So we were talking. Thank you. So a couple of things that we talked about. One was we were talking about you know, you've got the wars that are going on right now. So 2024, we've got a couple of little wars, not little, but a couple of wars going on right now amongst a few countries. One that's been going on for a minute now has been Russia and Ukraine, and the other one is Israel against Hamas. You know, And I really don't have skin in the game, right? I don't,
Right.
and I say that in a sense of saying that I don't have any family ties in there. I'm not sure, which one is sort of like the good guy. Because
Right.
honestly, just as you said, perspective is key. Each one, I'm sure, believes that they're the good guy from where they stand, right?
Yeah.
Russia's believing that they're the good and they're going to prevail. Ukraine's believing they're the good ones and they're going to prevail. Israel's thinking they're the good ones, they're going to prevail, and Hamas thinks, and it's all about that perspective, right?
Yeah.
And I thought about Saddam Hussein back before the Iraqi war. Before that even happened, Saddam Hussein, good God, he was praised by everybody. Oh, he's a great guy. He done brought all this free stuff to the country, free healthcare, free education, and people were trying to emulate him. Then all of a sudden, the tables turned, and now he was the worst person ever. He had to go down. Hello, weapons of mass destruction. You know what I'm saying? Like, you remember all that. We went to war.
Yes, indeed.
He was seen as the bad person and got taken down, right? So that's just like when I mentioned, society changing, and you saying, just like how I believe, like it's all about that perspective at that time, and that can change in the course of the time. We talk about, another topic. It was so taboo back in the day, years ago, to even step out and say that, hey, I'm gay. I like the same sex or what have you,
Right.
And then, years later, now it's like, hey, it's okay to be gay. You can come out with it, whatever. And then now you step further. Now you gonna like me regardless of whether or not you like me or not. I'm gonna force you to like me because I'm gay, whatever. And if you don't, then it's a hate crime or hate whatever. Sort of like really just in your face with it, right?
Right.
And to some degree, I'm like, wait a minute. Again, like how you said, that's what you do. I don't care one way or another how you flow.
Right.
Do whatever makes you happy. That's how you flow. That's how you flow. But what I don't like is for people to force me to sit there and be okay with something one way or another. Right?
Yeah.
My belief is my belief. I'm not gonna sit there and treat you one way or another just because you're different. We're all different.
Yeah.
Don't force me to sit there and do things. I'm not harming you. I'm not doing anything malicious. I'm not, out here, I don't know what you want to. Here I go with cancel culture. Here I'm about to get canceled. But I wish, please. They would try. I don't have enough to then get me canceled. But but I'm just like, when you think of it in that sense, like if that's what you do, that's what you do. Right? I'm okay with that. You okay with you, I'm okay with me. But don't force me to sit there and do something or approve of something or love something just because it's the quote unquote PC thing to do. It's the right thing to do right now at this time. Because again, like I said, society is always changing, right? I know what my core beliefs are. I've said it over and over again. I'm a child of God. I believe what's in the Bible. That doesn't mean that if I look at someone and I see that, they're the same sex, I'm going to say, ooh, whatever. No. Love is love.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Love is love. And we're supposed to love each other. Who am I to sit there and judge you and hate on you just because you're different or different from what I believe? No, I'm not that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not supposed to judge anybody. I may have my thoughts on the topic here and there, but I'm not going to judge you and treat you differently just because.
And you're entitled to that, your opinion.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm with you on that, with the perspective, and do what you do what you love, do what you're passionate about. If that's how you want to live your life, then live your life, because again, it's your life, not mine. I'm not walking in your shoes. I'm not having to deal with any of your consequences, whether it be good or bad, big or small, one right or left or whatever. That's on you. That has nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying? The way that I treat you, react to you, talk to you, or what have you, that's what I have a quasi control of. I mean, outside of God controlling me one way or another. But, so as long as I don't cross that line, I feel like I'm good. But don't force me. Don't force me to start to learn new words in the vocabulary.
That's where they lose me.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna force me to lie.
Right.
I know what my eyes see. So
right. I mean, hey. And then you get mad about
Well,
it, and then you get mad
oh,
about it and want to come at me with it, and now I'm the bad guy, I'm like, wait a minute, this is a new, you know what I'm saying? This is new to me. You guys,
yeah,
for me, I've been on this like 48 years, so going on 49, so 48 years is one way for me. I'm not going to
right,
change just like that, just because
right.
it's the thing to do. Society has changed, and now we have to fit in, and we got to be PC and everything like that, or whatever. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to change immediately. I catch myself often using the new terminology, new vocabulary, and things like that. I'm old school, but that doesn't mean I'm hating on you. That doesn't mean that
Right,
I'm going to treat you any differently, do anything maliciously towards you. You know what I
right.
mean? So that's just my thought on it. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, okay, I wanted to see. I know that's kind of like a topic.
Yeah.
So I was like, we'll test the waters a little bit, see what happens.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because it's so crazy. Even that topic and even the war topic, everybody everybody just so butthurt these days. Like you can't say nothing to nobody about nothing.
Right.
But it's funny that all those same people got a whole lot to say about the creator of the universe to me.
Right. Yeah.
They got a whole lot of lip, whole lot of symbolization, whole lot of if y'all don't believe that he's real so bad, why you go out your way to disrespect it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of been the conversation I've been going through at work and a couple of my peers. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's weird. Like,
Yeah.
but I guess we at them times.
Yeah.
And the ones who know, you know. If you know,
Yeah.
you know.
Right. Exactly. Like, you don't have to sit there. Me and my husband have these conversations too, because I'm always like, all right, I try to have an open mind, right? I know, like I said, I know
Mhm.
we're all different. I know what I believe and what have you. And I also know there's other beliefs out there as far as religion. Then there's other beliefs outside of religion, but I'm gonna just take religion for example. So I'm not gonna sit there and down you because your religion happens to be, I don't know, you happen to be a Buddhist. You
Right.
happen to be, I don't know, you happen to be Jewish.
Mhm.
That's different than, Christianity. Anything that's
Right.
different than what I believe. Even within Christianity, there's different sects within it that believe,
Mhm.
right? So we all have different beliefs or what have you, but you do, again, you do you, that's what you believe. As long as you don't cross this line and whatever, then we're good.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit there and let's just say we're in a room or what have you. I'm not just gonna sit there and be like, okay, oh, we're here talking and everything's cool, and then you tell me, oh, I'm Jewish. Ooh. And then I just walk
Right.
away, or what, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not
Right.
gonna sit there and do that if you're Muslim, if you're, different than what I believe or what have you. No. I think
Mhm.
that's the beauty of it. It's beautiful, but it also can be very scary and horrific for a lot of people. And I
Yeah.
think that's the main thing, right? The beauty and the fact that we are all different in every single way, you
Mhm.
know. But the fact that we're still also all the same in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
We breathe the same air.
Mhm.
Those that can walk with 2 feet are walking with 2 feet.
Mhm.
You know, when we eat, unless you're, have some type of disability or something like that, where you're have a feeding tube or whatever, but we eat through the same mouth. You know what I
Right.
mean? We smell out of our nose. We hear from our ears. We see from our eyes. We're
Right.
so similar in so many ways. We have so many things in common across the board, but yet we're all so different. And I think that's, like I said, I think that's something beautiful, but also can be scary. When you
Yeah.
realize, oh my God, this person looks so different, but they do the same thing. What? Oh, you put your
Mhm.
pants on the same way I put my pants on? What?
Yes.
You spell that the same way I do? What? You eat the same way I eat? Oh, wow.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the part there that we forget when we get so tied up into trying to make everybody fit into our own little ball in our own little,
Yeah.
and then we forget like all these differences and then we realize, oh my God, wait a minute. You breathe the same air that I do. When I cut you, you bleed red just like I bleed. Unless you're an alien and you're bleeding green, whatever. But, like you see in the movies. But but these things or whatever, I think that's again, the beauty of things, but then also it's scary until you like fully realize it and you're just like, wow, it's so beautiful. And I wish we all could get to that point where we can see the beauty in the fact that we're all different,
Well, I believe in this generation, they can't be proud of themselves without downing something.
Good point.
It seems like everybody has to be superior to be able to feel good.
Right. At the expense of someone else.
Yeah, I think it's sad. Yeah. And it's short-minded as well.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, off of something I said a couple minutes ago, like everybody's just so sensitive. It's okay for someone to have an opinion about you.
Mm-hmm.
The beauty is that this is a really big world. You can walk away.
Tell me about it. It's like online, right? Especially
the online bullying. Please don't get me started.
You or whatever. All you gotta do is shut it down. Walk away. You don't have to sit there and sit in front of it and just take it in and read it and take it in and read it. I have the ability to push the button, turn it off, and walk away, just as you said.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're in the room with people.
Yeah.
Shut it down, walk away.
Yeah.
Why does it need to get to that level? Well, now we got to put hands on each other. Now we got to sit there and put hits out on each other. Now we got to sit there and just try to, you know what I'm saying? Oh, I got to sit there and take this person out, destroy them all the way down, and what have you. It's that emotions that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
When you get so emotional about stuff, if you don't know how to control your emotions, my goodness, it will sit there and wreck your world. Your decision making and everything. You need to be clear-minded before you make a decision. I often say that I would say 85 to 90% of the time, if you're making a rash decision, it's a bad decision.
Yeah.
I say that often. And I can sit back and look at times in my life where I made a decision just like this without really thinking it through. And it was based on the situation and the emotions that I was going through at that time. And like I said, 85 to 90% of the time, it was a bad decision that I made. And it affected not just me, but other people that I sat there and did or said or what have you, something too.
Yeah.
So, but trying to keep track of our emotions and just trying to control that on our own as well. Well, maybe not just on our own, but for me, it would be through God. But for other people, whatever they believe, but trying to control your emotions when you get into that space and not just living your life through the emotions. Live your life. Yeah, feel as you're going through life, but don't let your emotions be that driver for you. You're still the person in the driver's seat. Let your emotions sit in the passenger seat or in the back. They just as passengers, right? And you can go a whole range of your emotions and have them riding with you in the car. But you should be the one that's still driving it. Clear-minded. So yeah.
That's the truth.
Yeah, man. I don't know, man. That whole being sensitive stuff, I know my daughter had mentioned that. And it's so weird because my daughter's 24. So I'm like, when I hear her talk about the youngsters, I'm like, you're young. What are you doing? That's your group.
Right.
Everyone's so emotional and they just can't, they're so sensitive and da-da-da-da. And I'm just like, what? Is that not your group? But, I guess a little different. So I'm like, okay, I get it, I mean,
she probably has an old soul.
There you go. I think it's so, because I tell you, some of the music she listened to, I tell you, just like her father, or her grandfather, she will go old school. Some of these songs, like, come on, you talking about some joints from back in the 60s and 70s. You weren't even thought of or born at that time. Your father wasn't even born at that time.
That's right.
What are you
doing? That's the kind of music I listen to. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Because I'm just a fan of that cool era. Like, to me, it was just cool to have the 3-piece suit with the hat, like, and the gator shoes. Like, that was just cool. And like, the way they talked to women it was just everything was just smooth. Nowadays, they just come out and say it. I'd be like, whoa, wait a second. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I was on my way to work a couple of weeks ago, man. They don't play. They just come straight out with it. I'd be like,
Oh my
Jesus.
God. Right. I don't even know a lot of these artists now. Did you hear on the radio? Like, so when we're on the radio and we're heading on to work, and I'm like, who is this? And it just seems like there's just a lot of chanting and you know, just you're just chanting the same thing. The beat sometimes sounds good. Sometimes no, just stop is what I want to say, you know, but the words really don't mean anything. You're just talking about a lot of stuff that you got, but you don't got, you know, you just, I don't know, you know, you're snitching on yourself, you're snitching on your people, your crew, you know, I don't know, you know what I mean? And just, I don't know. It just doesn't sound, I'm just like, you're not even trying to be incognito or nothing. You know, you just out there, you know, just, I shot him right there on 25th and 4th. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, what? It was daylight. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. And, you know, I'm just like, what? Wait a minute, you know, anybody looking at CCTV cameras, go back, wait a minute, we're going to pinpoint that was your behind. I'm coming to get you. You know, I don't know. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But again, different, you know, different era, I guess you can say, you know, what have you. It's so weird. Like we sit back and listen to some of the old songs that we used to listen to back in the day. Oh my God. Back in the day when I, you know, me and my husband were growing up. We listened like, just for instance, you know, New Edition, Belle Biv DeVoe, Keith Sweat. You listen to some of these songs and you like, wait a minute. I know you're young, but you ready. Wait, talk about some. Wait a minute.
Hold on a second.
Talk about back then. And here we are just singing it, you know. Oh, yeah, just singing it, you know. I'm like, what? You know, and here's the same situations that people have been getting locked up for. They've been getting convicted for fooling with the younger peoples. You know what I'm saying? You got someone who's like in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and above, and they've got themselves a little tenderoni who's about 13, 14, you know, whatever. And it's like, hold on, and they were singing it in the back then. You know, and I'm like, oh. Again, what wasn't taboo is now taboo, or what has been taboo all this time has now been looking different. That's a little bit of what I was talking about, you know, society changing all the time and how you got to try to conform to society when you're in it, but also stick true to what you believe, you know. So it's hard, man. It's hard.
That's the one thing I am excited about this day and age. That was a real problem. Because that's nothing new. As you said, it was even in the music back then. And just in individual, just think back in school. Like you heard that all the time from middle school to high school. Try to talk to a girl in middle school, my boyfriend in high school. Try to talk to a girl in high school, my boyfriend ain't in school no more. You leave school, you see the guys across the street in the cars waiting. Like that has always been a thing. Both parties, I believe, should be in trouble.
Right.
And if you can't get the younger woman or the younger male like in legal trouble, you have to pull their parents into it.
Right.
You're doing all this policing, but ain't nobody teaching nobody to be a better parent.
Thank you. I was just about to comment on that because I truly believe, you know, I kind of go back and forth with my husband on this a lot, but I truly believe a lot of that comes from parenting. It starts at home, people. It starts at home, people. It starts at home. So parents, we have to step up. If we want to sit there and have our youngsters living their lives based on what we believe in and what we, you know, the foundation that we put in them and what have you, not only do we have to mirror that in our own lives or whatever, but we have to also be attentive, be in their lives and not just trying to be their friend or, you know, what have you, but actually be there with them along the way, nourishing them, guiding them, directing them, you know, what have you. Stop trying to be a buddy all the daggone time. You know, that's just not going to work. You know what I mean? That does not work at all. But I think, like I mentioned, 80% of that, 80 to 85% of that is parenting. Yeah, because you got the other factors in play as far as like the environment that you're in and when you're when the parents are now at work and the kids are at school and who they're around, or whatever, you may not be right there, with them, but they still got to come home. They coming home to your house to lay to lay down and go to sleep. So when they come into your home, what are you doing? How are you spending that time with them? How are you communicating? How are you ensuring that they've learned all that they can that day and still continue to learn when you have them? I mean, whether it be 2 hours out the day before you both go to sleep and then wake up in the next morning and y'all go your own separate ways or whatever. I don't care if it's only 2 hours a day that you give them. Are you making the most out of those 2 hours? Are you making the most out of the 8 hours? The weekends, the time that you have with the time that we have with our kids, we just need to make it, make it worthwhile and stop letting everything and everyone else parent them. We're the ones that's supposed to take that driver's seat. We were the ones that God blessed to sit there and have them in our lives that way. You know what I mean? And so we are tasked with that, and we need to take that, seriously and step up to the plate and do what we need to do, especially if we don't want to steer them wrong,
Right.
And so, you had mentioned, this whole thing with the younger spouse or the younger female. I'll say younger female. I even went back and I took it even further back than that, right? So I beyond the music, I think about like in some countries and some traditions, you have little girls at the age of 12, 13, 14, getting married off to, someone who's in their 30s, 40s and above or what have you. But that's their culture. That's their tradition. This is something that's been going on before the time of day. I mean, before the dawn of time. And here's the thing. Another, our perspective on that is, we're here in the US and our perspective is that's wrong. And that person, needs to be locked up and the girl's parents need to be locked up or whatever. But in that country and in that culture, that is right because that's what they have been doing all this time. So how do you, so it's like, how do you kind of, deal with that or digest that, when you really truly believe like, oh no, that's wrong. I can't, how can I just sit by and not do anything or say anything about that, right?
Well, our answer from the question before, I mean, that's their life. This is my life, and it's all perception.
Yeah.
Like, that's your business.
Yeah.
That's cool. I understand that. And there's pros to cons to anything.
That is true.
And I definitely know what you're talking about. They will say that that's a woman's prime situation. Right? So my thing is, if it's the right thing to do, then why is it 20-something, 30-something year old men? Why don't you just marry them off to also the prime young man?
Right.
That's the same age.
Right.
If that's the situation.
Right.
But once again, I ain't gonna get into that. That ain't my business. That ain't my country.
Staying in your lane,
But to me, if it's prime for her, it should be prime for him.
That's true. I believe so. That's what I believe, I'm just like, I don't know. That goes into this whole like, that double standard thing.
Okay.
We talk about that all the time. The double standards that's just in life, period. And it's a double standard, and we all know it is a double standard between men and women.
Yeah.
We know that, right? And why is it so? Right? I don't know the true answer to that, but I know that there is one. I have a belief. I believe that that the double standard even goes all the way back to biblical times. When I think about in the sense of women weren't originally seen as an actual equal to man. We were seen as property. We were seen as property. When you think back to even in the stories when you say, okay, as a dowry, or you have to work 7 years before I can give you the hand of my daughter, and then I give you the wrong daughter. You got to work another 7 years to get the right daughter, what have you. I think about it in that sense, I'm gonna give you a goat and 3 sheep and like 3 cows or whatever, it's sort of like you're bartering, you're kind of like selling her off. So in my opinion, I thought it was in the sense of women not really being seen as as equals to men. And I mean, and let's be let's be clear, I still believe that to this day, that women are not equal to men. On a lot of areas. Now, are we still the same as like human beings? Yeah, but as far as like where we are and the total whole of life, no, we're not treated the same. But I think that's where it stems from. And then no matter over the course of the years where, even before, like women weren't allowed to read and learn how to read and all that. Women weren't allowed to be in men talk business or whatever. It was taboo for women to kind of be in a space, speaking amongst men, or even learning in a classroom, with other people or what have you, or teaching beyond what we were intended to do. Cook, care for the kids, clean the house, or what have you. And then as time went on and things grew, and you had the men going off to war, and dying off. So women had to step up and go into the space, into the workforce, right? Oh, but we weren't seen as equal, so we're not going to pay you $1 an hour. We'll pay you 50 cents or 25 cents an hour because your work isn't as equivalent to a man's work at that level, even though you're doing the same work, right? But we're going to pay you because we need you. And of course, us women, we're going to jump into it because we got families to take care of. Our men is out there fighting, or they're now, passed on in the war, or whatever. They lost their life in the war, or what have you, or they're locked up for life, or, whatever the case may be. And then we had to kind of like go through the stages of like fighting to even be heard, fighting to even be, get the right to vote, fighting to sit there and be seen as equal, fighting for equal pay, fighting. And now, even to the point of just fighting to be seen the same way. Like if I did something, prime example, you have a boy and a girl. Say y'all are in y'all 20s or what have you. The girl is out there. She done slept around with five guys. She's seen as a slut, and she's labeled as that for a long time. And she carries that stamp, that like the scarlet letter A, for a lifetime. Right. You have that 20-something-year-old boy. He sits there. He sleeps with 5 females. That's not the same that he gets. Oh man, that's a player, whatever. He seems like, oh, he's doing good. And he carries that on with him, and that's a good thing. So it's like good for him, but not good for her as you go into adulthood or what have you. And so I'm like, okay. And then you're labeled that. And once you get labeled that, good God, no matter if you're male or female, we talked about that before, labeled as a black sheep. If you're labeled as a black sheep or whatever, that's stain carries with you for a long time. And so I think about it in that sense. So I don't know. I know there's a double standard. That's my belief as to why or how it started. And maybe, and I feel like we're getting there. We're not there yet, to be seen on the same, level playing field. But for me, I believe that's how it started. That's how it started for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would like to show a different perspective on that.
Yeah, come with it.
Okay. It depends on the person you're talking to, right? Okay. You were saying that they believed that women weren't allowed to read, they were lesser than a man. You started in the beginning times, old times. They would barter, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe the same could be said for a middle child son who wanted to take over the kingdom that his father was king of. He would be absolutely ignored. Nobody would care how much he would do. You're not the firstborn. You ain't the secondborn. You ain't the youngest. So you're going to die around the same time the second oldest is. But I understand that it's not the same. Men were not fair to women, but pursue what you love. There were places on the planet where women were reveled as queens, mainly certain parts of South Africa. Like queens was nothing to play with. They was often heads just as much as our Caucasian counterparts up in England.
Right.
They was running it, and it was what it was. But that the perception is always looking from, I don't want to say big brother because it's not so much the government, just that mindset of that one particular man that everybody talks about.
The
The
man.
man. The particular gentleman.
Right.
He likes to do this to us. He likes to break us up as much as he can. So I want you to feel belittled. I want you to feel empowered. I want you to feel abandoned. I want you to feel smothered. Like, when honestly, they're just trying to draw attention away to a certain thing. To me personally, when it came to the vote and the working, when it came to women, I don't believe that was fair at all. That was just rude. But once again, it was cheap labor.
Yeah.
But if we talking about us,
Yep.
the men was put on the front line and paid a third, not even half, to die. And if you come back, we just might last name you Freeman. You just might get it yet. But he know you're not coming back.
Right.
He knows that's not happening. And we live in a world that's controlled, to me personally, by a selective few. And they have their mindsets on what they want to do and how they want to do things. But to me, I seen their main weapon is segregation. That goes for gender, that goes for race, that goes for height, that goes for religion, that goes any way I could keep you separated.
Right. Good point.
I will do so, because I would rather you concentrate on this than for the people as a whole to be like, hold up.
Right.
Time out. You gave what country $1 trillion? What?
Right.
And I can't drive to work without 40 homeless people asking to wash my window?
Something ain't right. The math ain't mathing. Make it make sense. Right.
You found Osama bin Laden. You followed them from a cave with these super secret high drones, and you found them in this nice little plaza with all these computers. And you can't get the drug dealers off the corner?
Right.
Because you ain't got enough proof?
Yeah.
Something ain't right. And they like to double down, especially on ethnic women, to make them feel like they're not seen, they're not heard, they're not equals. Well, if people just open their eyes, they're past equals, because they snatching the men and throwing them in jail. There's no one there to be equal to.
Right, that is true.
So the fight should be, am I equal to you? Because the person, that gentleman, is looking at the women like, yeah, have these babies, do all this. I'll pay for this, I'll pay for that, I'll do this. And you built their mothers like that. So now that we have their daughters who's running around looking for more sugar daddies, because that's technically what you are. So now they're running around, and like you said, people calling them, oh, she sleeps around with 5 guys, now she's this. Well, perception, because a woman like my mother, if my father was just around, that wouldn't have been my mother.
Right.
Because everybody has a standard, and that's yours. That can't be changed by public perception, popular opinion.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. But a lot of people do sway. So I'm just throwing that out there, but go ahead.
Yeah, you're right though. Your standard should be your standard. And I believe that goes across the board when we talk about numerous topics.
Yeah.
I don't think the way they treated women were fair. I don't think it make any sense, or a woman shouldn't be in a man's conversation. Well, half the conversation is from a woman. You go home and you pillow talk about the problems that you're having with this dude. Then she gives you an option, and he's getting the option from his wife. And you coming together, you talk about what your wives are talking about. Which is why when wives started talking about each other, talking to each other, they were like, "Oh, well, I was hearing the same thing."
Right, right.
I don't know. I can't keep up. I can't keep up, man.
It is a lot to keep up. Like I said, everything is always changing. Society always changes. The perspective always changes. What we thought we believed was right, we may have changed, and you changed our mind on it or what have you as you go through life. I think I talked about that before. What we believed in, not our core beliefs, but what we believed in and what we wanted to do when we were in our teenage years changed when we hit our 20s, changed again when we hit our 30s, it'll change again when we hit your 40s and so forth and so on, right? But that core part of you will still be there, right? And so that's the part there that I'm talking about as far as like, staying with your core beliefs, even though society and the world and the perspective is constantly changing and not always trying to fit in, get in where you can fit in, those type of things or what have you, throughout any part of your life, whether it be in your personal life or in your, your work life, your family life, your friendships and things like that or whatever, but just really just staying true to what you truly believe, your core beliefs, and then just riding the wave as the society and the times change, and that's that could be a little scary at times, you may feel like you're the odd man out all the time or what have you, but if you are really secure in yourself, then you'll be able to ride that wave, and doesn't make a difference what the hell comes through, it'll be okay. Yeah, that's what I say.
I know that's right. I'm with you. Bump them all.
That's what I say. I'm like, wait a minute, man. I don't know. But I say that I bring that up, and I wanted to talk about that only because I like that topic. I think it's something that really like I feel like people need to explore a little bit more. But then also in the sense of, I'm throwing that in. So we're in the month of May, and May is Mental Health Month. And so, a lot of times, I think that a lot of times when we change our opinion, our mind, or what we believe in, it's based on the emotions of the situation that we're going through. And if we're going through tough times, again, like I said, 85 to 90% of the time, if we are making rash decisions based on a situation that we're in and we're having the emotions ride us out, then that's going to be the wrong decision. But my perspective could be different, So I just bring that up because I'm like, all right, it's Mental Health Month. It's something that it's a topic that, a lot of people I feel like have been slinging around left and right ever since we all went through the pandemic together. We went through the pandemic together, but then we all experienced it individually, right? And it hit differently. But I feel like those who understood about, their emotions and their mental wellness and stuff from the very beginning before that whole thing happened, I felt like, okay, they were okay in the sense of knowing where to go and where to kind of get and seek these resources or what have you. So I feel like there have been a lot of people who have just been throwing it out as a defense mechanism, sort of like a shield, a barrier, because they're so sensitive. Oh, I see that's the new in thing. So I can throw this out there and then I can get people off my back because now I'm feeling the heat. You know what I'm saying?
Get out of jail free card.
Don't come at me like this because, I'm, they throw out, oh, I'm anxious or I have depression or I have, whatever, the new hot thing is because it's something that's been out there now in the news. And it's a good thing in the sense that people are thinking about their mental health and their wellness of things like that, but not when it's used in the sense of, get off my back, and to the sense of where you're too sensitive to deal with whatever is hitting you with life. Life is hard. I've talked about that. We've talked about that, but I've talked about that also on a couple of other episodes. And I'm like, life is hard. We all know that. Those that are, living still and breathing to this day, there hasn't been not one person on this earth that hasn't been through something tough in their life. It comes out of left field, uppercut you and come out at boom. It just happens, right? But you got to sit there and still kind of find your way, find your own path, do what makes you not just happy, but do what you are passionate about. Do what you feel like you are, like terminology I'm gonna use, what you feel like your purpose on this earth is, right? I always say, if you're still here, your eyes are open, you're still breathing, and you're able to, think and speak and everything like that, then you're not done here. You're not done here. So no matter what it was that you went through, you could sit there, pick yourself up, go through the motions to kind of let it be, but don't hide behind, oh, I have this and I have that, and now I can be over here huddled in the corner somewhere. No, don't do that. That's not living, right? To me, it's not. And so I'm just and I know that society changes. I know that life changes. I know that times change. What you thought was taboo is now in. What was in is now taboo, or what have you. But again, if you're sticking with how, like you said, your father had said something 2 years ago. Like if you're busy thinking about and worried about someone else, then how can you sit there and do your own, live your own life, make your own decisions or what have you, right? So in that sense, stop thinking about other people's opinions, other people's, what they're going to think of you because you did this, you wore that, you said this, you look like X, Y, and Z. Doesn't make a difference. If that's what you love to do, if that's what brings you joy, if you're just doing you and not worried about everybody else, and I can guarantee you'll get further along in life than those other people that have to stop, pause, wait a second, how many likes did I get? Oh, are they talking about me? Wait a minute, let me throw this out here, let me do this or whatever, because you're living for other people. It's it's your life. Who are you living your life for? Are you living it for you, or are you living it for other people? It's my understanding that the life that we're living is supposed to be for ourselves. God sat there and, again, my belief, God sat there and created us, brought us down here in this life and gave us a purpose. We all have our own purpose, and we're supposed to be living that life, living our life based on the purpose, living our lives for ourselves. We're not supposed to be sitting up there going through life trying to make others happy, doing color within the line, stay, whatever, stay in a straight line, whatever. No, because life gonna give you them curves. You're gonna take a left turn, you're gonna hit that bump, you're gonna sit there and have to go back step a little bit or whatever. But just as long as you continue to move, get up and still move, then because you're still here, then you got that, right? So, I just, again, that was another reason why I brought that up about, conforming, changing sort of life with the times, and how to do so without losing your core belief in what you feel like you're here to do and what you truly believe in. So
to springboard off of what you're saying, with the likes and if people are talking about people or not. At first I couldn't understand it till I realized that attention is now the new currency.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, even our favorite artists, they get paid off views. Used to be a time you had to go buy the album.
Right. Like how did someone get money by being an influencer? How is that a job now? An influencer?
What? Because there's people out here who watch their live streams and donate money. If you got 20,000 people tuned into your stream and each person gives $1 to $5.
I get it. I get it.
I don't think that makes no sense because I work hard for my money. I just don't see myself giving you money. First of all, I'm already paying for internet and streaming services. I'm not giving nobody no more money for my entertainment.
Right, exactly.
That ain't happening.
And then it might not even be, I mean, number one, is it legit? Like, are you saying things that I'm really truly believe? Are you doing something that's going to help me, number one, in the right way? But then number two, it's like, are your thoughts going to change? You know daggone well it will. Because if you're an influencer, you're going with the sign of the times. You're going to
and whoever's willing to give you the most money.
Thank you. You chasing the money. You chasing the likes. You chasing this and that. It's going to change. So
but once again,
you're not sorry.
Yeah, but that's that gentleman that I like to speak about. Like, who is out here? Who is out here giving money for an hour of my time?
Yeah. I
understand that, Twitch, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, I understand that their workers are getting paid. Mm-hmm. But who's paying you to pay them? Mm-hmm. Who is the person that says, I will pay you for a certain amount of people's time? Because somebody got to be holding the master checkbook. Because I don't care what you say. Me sitting down, giving you an hour of me watching something, don't give you no money.
Right. You are absolutely right.
So who's the person that's cutting this check?
You are absolutely right. And as we know, time is money. Because that is the one thing, that time is so precious. That is the one thing you do not get back at all. You can earn some money. Yeah, you can spend some money, but you can also earn some money. But once you lose that time, it's gone. It's gone. It's gone. You can't get that back at all. I don't care if we spring forward, fall back an hour, spring forward and then we change whatever. You still not getting the time back.
Hey, look, our people still can play like, oh man, I done lost the hour.
I do the same thing. I get so excited. Like it's really gonna make a difference. Oh yeah, I get to sit there. I gain an hour because I fall back. I can sleep in for an hour. That is nothing. Are you serious right now? Like I'm playing jokes with my mind right now. Oh, I lost an hour. I had to spring forward. Oh, my body's still tired. That's just my mind. Mm-hmm. Come on, man.
But like you said, I ain't got no problem with that person getting paid for the hour if what you're doing is helping me. What are you talking about?
Right.
Is it something that's going to help me morally, mentally, spiritually grow?
Right.
That's worth an hour because, as you said, time is money.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely right. Well said, Jay. Well said. Well, listen, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. And,
no problem.
Talk to me on a lot of different topics, We didn't just stick to one, but I love that. And I definitely want to have you back so we can continue more. But yeah, I do. So we'll connect after this, but thank you so much, Jay, for joining me. Thank you so much, fans, for watching this episode of Conversations with G, along with Jay here. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Peace and love, G.
Text ya, won't settle for less. Text ya, that you won't forget. Text us, don't call our phone. Help us, Lord, make it back home. Text ya, won't settle for less. Text ya, that you won't forget. Text us, don't call our phone. Help us, Lord, make it back home.